Country is all lands, waters, sky, trees, plants, animals, birds, fish, rocks, mountains, and then all peoples. That means today you are on country and you are part of country today.
Tonight I'm introducing Brooke Prentis, who is a proud descendant of the Wakka Wakka people, who are the custodians of the land extending from Gayndah and Eidsville in the north, inclusive of the Bamban Springs, through to Cherbourg and Anango in the south of Queensland. Brooke describes the Wakka Wakka country as the place of the bunya pines and the native grasslands. Brooke is a prominent Aboriginal Christian leader and the CEO of Common Grace, a movement of people pursuing Jesus and justice. Brooke is also the coordinator of the Grass Tree Gathering, a network of over 200 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Christian leaders from right across the Australian community. Brooke appeared at last year's festival, and we were able to watch her video poem called We Can't Breathe. It is a deeply moving call for us all to end Aboriginal deaths in custody. Today, Brooke will be sharing with us the ancient songlines that are embedded in the landscape and how, for over 65,000 years, songlines have given life and meaning to the story of this continent, and how we, in this modern society, can use these ancient ways to walk across the stepping stones into a better tomorrow. I'd like to warmly welcome Brooke Prentis to Dirrum Festival 2021.
Thank you, Jo, for your beautiful introduction. Thank you also to Cameron for launching the start of Dirrum Festival. And thank you also for the acknowledgement of country. And I thank you for the acknowledgement of country as it centres our connection here today. You are there on Ngunnawal country. And virtually we are connected as I come to you as a Wakka Wakka woman living on Wongal country, one of the 29 clans of the Eora Nation in the place now called Sydney. And so I pay my respects to the traditional custodians and to the elders past, present and future of both Ngunnawal country, of where I am today, Wongal country, and also to my own elders and country, to Wakka Wakka country. And it is as we acknowledge country that together, as all peoples of all cultures in these lands now called Australia, we acknowledge the country, and that's whichever country, wherever anyone is listening from, of over 300 nations of Aboriginal peoples in these lands now called Australia. That is the country upon which you listen, learn, and love upon today. And as we come together, we step across the stepping stones on country into a better tomorrow. But to cross the stepping stones into a better tomorrow on country in these lands now called Australia, we must first take a first step. A first step, a second step, a third step, a walk, a jog, a run, a marathon. Now, I'm not much of a jogger, runner or marathoner either, but I did enter and complete a 5-kilometre run for breast cancer once. However, I do love walking. I love thinking about each step that I take. I love thinking about country underneath my feet on which I promise to walk softly and gently each and every day. And I think about walking across stepping stones. I wonder, have you ever actually been across stepping stones, like stepping stones across a pond? When I was young and when you went to the park, it wasn't about the best playground equipment. It was about going to that park that had a pond with stepping stones. And the thing about stepping stones of my childhood is that it wasn't about using them to get to the other side, but in fact to go across and to come back. And the thing about stepping stones is that you have to walk slowly, strategically even, navigating the distance between each stepping stone, navigating how wet and slippery a stepping stone is, considering how quickly to step across, considering where to place your foot. Now, when I was 6, I went with my aunt to my favourite park, which had stepping stones across a pond. And I'm going to show you a photo right now. This is I shared this photo with the Year 6 Radford College students this morning, and I share it with all of you today. This is me at 6 years old. This photo is me on Gubbi Gubbi country where I have lived most of my life. And this is so you can get the image of me at 6 years of age with my aunt going across the stepping stones, across the pond. And my aunt was 17 years old at the time and very tall. And so my 17-year-old, very tall aunt kind of forgot that me, her 6-year-old niece, was not that tall. And so what ended up happening is I was going across the stepping stones one by one, and indeed one was too far from the next, and I ended up in the pond, fully drenched, and I was wet from head to toe. This is a favourite family story, and many times when my family gather, we retell the story, and when someone brings up, remember that time when Brooke was a little fella and fell in the pond? But for me, the story is actually about the stepping stones. It's actually one of my earliest memories, and I still remember before I fell in the pond, calculating whether the stone was too far away and thinking of the consequences. What would happen if I didn't make it? But also I calculated what would happen if I didn't try. It was also around this time that the song Man in the Mirror was released. And Man in the Mirror, that song had these lines: if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. And whilst I've shared a family story about stepping stones, it started with that single step I took. And when I was 18, I came across a phrase. It's 10 two-letter words. And those 10 two-letter words are, if it is to be, it is up to me. And this phrase has helped me achieve impossible dreams, has taught me to listen and learn, and that change starts with me. And it's a me that's a Wakka Wakka woman. It's a me that is a daughter, an older sister, an aunt, and a niece. It's a me that is the first person in my family to go to university. It's a me that is one of a handful of postgraduate qualified Aboriginal chartered accountants. It's a me that is one of a handful of postgraduate qualified Aboriginal theologians. It's a me that is a writer, a speaker, a poet, a pastor. It's a me that's a follower of Jesus. It's a me who pursues justice each and every day. It's a me that is a neighbour. It's a me that reaches out a hand in friendship to you. It's a me that in this very moment, in this time and place, that is asking you to come, to step into today, this new day together. And so will you come? Will you come and walk with me on country? Come walk with me a while. Take my hand and walk alongside. For me, as an Aboriginal person, walking brings forth many images, physically, culturally, and spiritually. Immediately, I'm taken to journey, a journey through nations and across country, a journey through story, song, and dance along songlines, a journey through time and space, embracing the cyclical and non-linear nature and worldview. The physical, cultural, and spiritual. We also know that these do not fit into neat, distinct categories, but interweave and overlap with each other, and possibly they're actually all the same thing. But first, I wanted to take you on country. And you see, country isn't just land, and country isn't just peoples. Country is all lands, waters, sky, trees, plants, animals, birds, fish, rocks, mountains, and then all peoples. That means today you are on country and you are part of country today. And as we go on country, I actually wanted to take you first to Wakka Wakka country and to the physicality of walking. Wakka Wakka country, a land of ancient grass trees, native grasslands, small mountains and bunya pines, the home of the Great Bunya Nut Gathering, where thousands of Aboriginal peoples from many nations over thousands of years would gather each and every year. Today's history books will tell you that the last Great Bunya Nut Gathering was held in the late 1890s. Wakka Wakka peoples will tell you these continued for many decades after. They had to continue in secret because of the threats of massacres and removal from land and family. The history of these gatherings is a living history, and my generation's grandparents have passed down the actual stories of them attending in their childhoods. This was my nan's own story, passed to me. And the only way to travel to the Bunya Nut Gathering was by walking. And so the cultural aspect of walking takes me to songlines. The Bunya Pines are part of my songlines. Songlines played an important part in the way to travel, showing the path to walk in song and dance through the landscape. These songlines and paths and trade routes have become some of the major highways and roads that Australians travel along today. As I said, I now live in Sydney on the lands of the Gadigal and Wongal peoples, two of the 29 clans of the Eora Nation, and having moved here 2 years ago. But since I was 5, I've lived on Gubbi Gubbi country, which is geographically next to Wakka Wakka country. And I've worked most of my life on Turrbal country, which is geographically south of Gubbi Gubbi country. And the Turrbal peoples would walk to the Great Bunya Nut Gathering along a major, what's now today a major roadway today known as Old Northern Road. And I've put that on an image for us. I've put this on Google Maps, and the total journey from Turrbal country through Gubbi Gubbi country to Wakka Wakka country today is 203 kilometres. And according to Google today, it would take 42 hours to walk. And that journey passes through 3 Aboriginal nations. And so I'm also now reminded of another walk. In 1905, Aboriginal peoples were walked in chains in the hot Queensland sun, men, women and children, from Dirrum Dirrum Aboriginal Reserve near Woodford to Baramba Aboriginal Reserve, which was renamed to Cherbourg in 1931, Wakka Wakka country. The walk took 3 months to travel, 148 kilometres. Today, we have reclaimed the walk, and many Aboriginal young people take the walk with the Aboriginal organisation Yalari, and they walk 100 kilometres, taking 3 weeks. I also recently found out that the clans of the Eora Nation, the place where I now live, would also travel up to the Great Bunya Nut Gathering. And I found this out because I was shown a bunya pine in the grounds of the University of Sydney on Gadigal country on Parramatta Road. The Gadigal peoples walked to the Great Bunya Nut Gathering on Wakka Wakka country, which Google Maps says today is 1,153 kilometres and would take 237 hours to walk. This walk takes you through over 10 different nations. I was also recently on Ngunnawal country, where you are today, and found a bunya pine. I wondered, did my songline come down this far? This is the actual photo that I took of the bunya pine on Ngunnawal country. But sadly, as I got closer to the bunya pine, it was not part of my songline because it had been removed from country and placed here. Today, it is placed at the intersection of State Circle and Kings Avenue in Canberra, planted off country by the Duke of York on the 10th of May, 1927. What this tells us about Australia takes deep listening. You see, Aboriginal law requires that when passing through another's country, you must ask for permission and be granted permission. And then you have ceremony and hospitality. And so the spirituality of walking takes me to my ancestors. Over 2,500 generations of walkers, over 2,500 generations of peoples who have lived sustainably, over 2,500 generations caring for country as taught to us by the Creator through our elders over the generations and with the songlines. teaching us the law, both law, L-O-R-E, and law, L-A-W, to know the Creator, to care for all country, for all creation, and to live in right relationship. Our elders say, elders of all of those over 300 nations of Aboriginal peoples in these lands now called Australia, our elders say, care for country and country will care for you. But sadly, country is often not being cared for. The physical stepping stones have often been removed, destroyed, and even blown up in the name of profit and greed for the benefit of the wealthiest in Australia, in disrespect and disregard for the traditional custodians, the Aboriginal peoples who have cared for and stewarded country for thousands of years, for millennia, since time immemorial and as appointed by the Creator. But we still have these stories and we still walk towards a better tomorrow. Today, as all peoples of all cultures, we walk in the footsteps of Aboriginal elders who cared for country for thousands of years, as well as those Aboriginal elders and leaders in our living memories who still care for country, but also those who pursue justice, meaning equality, freedom, and love for all of us. The walks of Aboriginal peoples, like Jimmy Clements in 1927 from Wiradjuri country to Ngunnawal country, of William Cooper in 1937 and 1938 on Wurundjeri country, of Uncle Charlie Perkins in 1965 on Gamilaroi country, Vincent Lingiari in 1966 on Gurindji country, Auntie Jean Phillips, who's still alive today, in 1988 on Turrbal and Yuggera country, and she still walks each and every day. Uncle Eddie Koiki Mabo in 1992 from Mer Island in the Torres Strait to Ngunnawal country. If you don't know these people, these Aboriginal peoples, please get to know them. Every Australian should know them. They are the ones who have taken first steps, indeed second, third and fourth steps, have walked to make these lands now called Australia a better place for peoples of all cultures. They have called Australia to come together for the common good over many generations and over many decades. And there are many more Aboriginal people's faces and names who you should know who have done this as well. As we think about those walks and as we think about walking today, so often in Western culture, walking is an individual activity, a form of exercise, but it is so much more than that. Indeed, one step can change the world. If you follow me on Instagram at brookeprentis.official, I often have photos of my bare feet on the ground, acknowledging country to the places that I travel. And I'll show you this. To the places that I travel. Hopefully you can see that. Most recently, my feet rested in the soft sandy creek beds of Ngunnawal country in Ikera, around the Flinders Ranges of South Australia. It was Uncle Joe Kirk in his Welcome to Country that taught me to take off my shoes and socks and feel the land, the earth and creation. It was Creator Spirit, God, Holy Spirit, that revealed to me that when I did that, I felt a connection, that people and land are one. We are all God's creation. It was Jesus that encouraged me to invite others to do the same. In Aboriginal people's welcomes to country and acknowledgement of country, we pay respects to the elders past, present and future. This is a journey of time and space, of walking in the spiritual. In Australia today, Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal peoples are being called to walk together. And that brings us back to today, to this very moment in this very time and place, with me reaching out a hand in friendship to you. Let's take our first step together. If we take off our shoes and socks and walk in community, as my ancestors did, maybe there is a deep spirituality that will spring forth. This includes for healing. I know the injustices Aboriginal people face in this country, Australia. I know the damage and destruction that has happened and keeps happening to country. I know what is needed for healing and protection of country. It's you and me, and also for me, it means Jesus, and it means taking that first step. And it's not just doing this in your mind, but it's using your hands, your feet, your heart, your whole being. And it's not just today, but each and every day. I collaborated with singer-songwriter Helen Wright a couple of years ago, and on the 26th of January this year, we released a music and poetry collaboration called A New Day. And I hope you can go and listen to it. I've put the link there, and it's on the Common Grace Facebook page, and it was released on the 26th of January this year. And it's a piece called A New Day, and I really do hope you can go and listen to it. With my poetry, the last lines of my poetry include these words. It's the old ways for a new day in a new way. We feel it here. The old ways dawn on a new day, fresh eyes and open hearts. Our stories weave together, shared truth, the new way, that's how it starts. And together we step into a new day, a new day. And so my prayer, my hope and my dream is that you take that first step, a first step that only you can take, but one that joins me and joins family, community, and eventually nation. And that together we can build the Australia I dream of, the Australia we build together, an Australia built on truth, justice, love, and hope. It is by using the old ways, the ancient ways, like the songlines that are embedded in the landscape and still here today, that Aboriginal peoples can teach you about, and that you can come and walk with us by using those ancient ways. It's then you will see the stepping stones embedded in the landscape. And then together, as Aboriginal peoples and non-Indigenous peoples of all cultures, then together we can walk across the stepping stones into a new day that brings a better tomorrow. Thank you.